Yeah. Mic check 1 2. You hear me? 144 back again. Uh. Run it back. Yeah. It's time to leave the enemy desolate. I'm heaven sent. These niggas just on some extra shit, and I ain't impressed with it. Could you kick that bullshit to the left of it? Hey, look, you can't deny this excellence. I use this mic like weaponry, and I've been seeking more clarity. Right now, I'm ready as I'll ever be, rugged as I ever been. The devil knocking at my door, I'ma let him in. Cause I'm a worthy adversary. Pour them liqueur laced with rosemary. It's time to grind, ain't no time to tarry. Take one of mine, get your soul carried. I got them worried, plus these niggas full of estrogen. They fickle, they false. Got a big ball, so end up in the real issue. Fuck with my brethren, I deal with you. Yeah, look, it's getting real official. Seeing how them bitches can cross you, and how they still twist you. It'll hit you, they peel a tissue. Them mothers weak, my brother's been sent to the deep. So tell me, how can I turn the other cheek while this wicked world trying to smother me? Something gotta shake, I'm gonna cry it out. Time to gird up my loins and ride out. In my soul, I feel devastation. In my eyes, I see desolation. On my door, death is waiting. But I don't want to see no more desolation. I said I don't want to see no more. Hey, in my soul, I feel devastation. In my eyes, I see desolation. Out my door, death is waiting. But I don't want to see no more desolation. But I don't want to see no more.
Beat the cops, beat the ops, beat the motherfucking eyes. I'm the one. Why you think that I've been rolling with a Kai? Your little arms is too short to hotbox with God. French is long, team strong with them, a gun, die would die. Tired of these fake snakes, crooked Nate to oppress Jake. No pressure makes diamonds I won't break on this crooked landscape. We gon' make some shake, so I ain't got time to argue with you fucking reprobates. While these crackers getting richer when we raise the crime rate, and they hunt my people like gorillas and some primates. So we in these streets trying to raise a brother's mind state in every concrete jungle, from Cali to the tri-state. I buried brothers over beef that they couldn't squash. Blood in the streets, brains out like galoshes. I trust the cracker when I mix that squash. You listening to real niggas, dog, who can't be bought. Whoa. Why you think I go so hard? Cause this world's fucked up, nigga, I've been scarred. PTSD, brothers can't drop their guard. Every day some bullshit, you gotta weave and vibe. It's no facade, so every day I'm on my job. It's time to send these devils to the land of Nod. Cause when I lost my religion, that's when I found God. So when I lost my religion, nigga, I found God.
In my soul, I feel devastation. In my eyes, I see desolation. On my door, death is waiting. But I don't want to see no more desolation. I said I don't want to see no more. Hey, in my soul, I feel devastation. In my eyes, I see desolation. Out my door, death is waiting. But I don't want to see no more desolation. And I don't want to see no more.
Give me Exodus.
All right, Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. Since 1969, we have been educating Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on their true nationality, culture, and heritage according to these scriptures. Today's class is about that rulership will be coming soon for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why it's a hard time for you to understand that, is because for so long, we live a life as if we're never going to be, as if we're never going to have rulership. We live a life to where they just tell us to make money, you get rich or make as much money as you can, you have a family, and you die. And along those lines, you follow the ways of America, and you follow the ways of, all the oppressors that have oppressed us. With that being said, that's not what God requires of us. That's not what God wants from us. God wants rulership for us. And the reason being is because we are the nation that is the rightful heir to inherit rulership, but the right way. Because obviously all these other nations cannot rule the right way. They have shown that they can't, and they're incompetent and not capable of leading a nation or leading a certain group of people. If I could, can you give me Deuteronomy 7 and 6?
Khan. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Read that again. I'm going to pull it up as you read it. All right, go ahead.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Right. The Lord thy God said that we are a holy people. What does holy mean? Well, holy means to be set apart, to be different, to not be the same. It means that you are single-handedly singled out from the rest of everybody else. And the Lord thy God chose us. He have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. We're the special people that are special unto him. Why? Because he is our father and we are his children. So you have to understand that that means that God does not love everybody because it says that he has chosen thee. Well, how could that make sense that he's choosing everybody when it says I've chosen thee? So you mean to tell me that out of particular nations that he's choosing particular people and they're going to all be the the majority of the thee? No, because the Most High God hateth Esau but loveth Jacob, and Esau is the Edomite, which is the so-called Caucasian man here today. And he only loves Jacob. And you know he only sent Christ to die for who? The nation of Israel, because we know Jacob's name was changed to what? Israel, after he wrestled with an angel in his dream and begged for a blessing. And that's what happened. So you have to understand this, that there is a difference between who the Most High God is talking to. Why would he be talking about, everybody if it says I've chosen thee to be a particular people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth? Now, back in the times when, the other great men that was before us that were roaming the earth, the nation of Israel was on top. We were ruling. We had our own things. We had our own stores. We had our own merchandise, our own companies and businesses. People came to us to buy stuff, buy, sell, and trade. We were in rulership. The reason how we're not in rulership today is because we decided to say, hey, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe, just maybe, what the oppressor is offering is better than what God is offering us. And those were some people that fell subject to the ways of pagan holidays and pagan religions, that got manipulated, that said, maybe he do talk a good talk. And that's what our oppressors do, especially the so-called Caucasian man. His words are smooth as butter and slicker than oil. He can talk up a good talk to manipulate you and to convince you to thinking that the life that you're living isn't good. The life that you're living isn't of God, that there is better than that you can be a God yourself. And that's where we went wrong. When the Most High God said that we're supposed to be upon every person, every other nation on the face of the earth. Now you have that any sport we do, Usain Bolt is the fastest man alive. Even him being retired, he's still the fastest man alive. Now, of course, you have other brothers and sisters that try to break his records, and they come very close. But as for the rest of the other nations, the so-called whites and Arabs and Middle Easterns, they can't even top us in that area. It's just probably going to be another black and brown brother breaking that record. It will never be another nation that'll break that record, because when we run and sprint, that's something that we're special at doing. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, and currently is 38 years old, and is hanging with 20-year-olds and 18-year-olds. The Most High God chose to be a special people. Arguably, maybe the best rapper right now might be Lil Baby. We the best at rapping. The best Hispanic rapper is D-Baby. Everything that we do, we cook good, we dance good, our brothers and sisters look good, we dress good. Anything that we do it at a higher rate than every other nation because the Most High God chose it to be special. And that's something that you have to hold with you and hold dear to your heart because the Most High God chose you. Obviously, if he chose everybody else or he chose the so-called, white man, they would be blessed with certain things, but you can see they lack in a lot of areas. They aren't fit to rule this earth. They don't dress good. They don't smell good. They don't look good. They get sunburned in the sun. The skin is bad. The hair is bad. They can't cook. They don't cook with no seasoning. They don't know how to run a nation. They have no compassion, no empathy, and no sympathy for people. They unalive everybody in their path. And that's why the scriptures speak about them in Obadiah and in Isaiah, the 59th chapter, in the 7th verse. That they make haste to shed innocent blood in Lamentations 4 and 18 and Psalms 10 and 8. That they sit privily in villages and lurk. Rulership is not for them. Rulership is for us. And it's about time that you understand that World War III is very close. You see, whenever these nations start to come together and form up against America as they're doing now, that's how you know that America will fall. And sooner or later, Christ will crack that sky with 200 million angels and we'll be set back in the Holy Land, the land that the Lord promised us. And we will rule under Christ. That's what we'll do. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will finally have a chance at rulership and peace. Finally have a chance to live how they want to live, especially following the laws of God, the law, statutes, and commandments in the righteous way, and not have to live in such scarcity and not have to live in such famine and trauma and, being raped, robbed, and murdered and have to live with that alongside your enemies. Instead, your enemies will serve you. If I could, give me, what do I want? I think I want Deuteronomy 28 in the first verse.
Khan, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And this shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right. The Most High God said, if we hearken diligently, hearken means what? To listen. You know what I'm saying? Take whatever that the Lord is saying to you and hearken diligently, meaning to understand, soak in this wisdom diligently. To be diligently hearkening to something means that you're really dedicated and focused and determined. You're really adhering to what the words that's coming out of the Bible is telling to you. Unto the voice of the Lord thy God. This is God speaking. Of course, we know that throughout the Bible, the Most High God, it's speaking through the prophets, or he's, it's a lot of metaphors and stuff and a lot of examples of the Most High God speaking to the nation of Israel. Or he's talking about other nations through the prophets because that's what they're observing at that time. Everything that's happening in the Bible is of God, right? To observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations on the face of the earth, or of the face of the earth. Now, we do know that here in America, everybody has a name based on the land that they dwell in. And then a lot of times people that have a name from the land that they dwell in, they also have a name that you would call them. That is because that particular people that dwell in this land conquered them and gave them a language, and now they go by that name when really they were conquered by oppressors. And I'm talking about Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, right? I say all that to say this. The Lord said he's going to put us upon high above every nation on the face of the earth, right? Now, the so-called Caucasian man, his biblical nationality, he comes from Edom, Esau, or he would be called an Edomite, or Edomites for a plural sense, right? Then you have the Arabs, the Ishmaelites. Then you have the Africans, the Canaanites, the Puttites, the Hamites. You know what I'm saying? Many different types of Africans, right? Then you have the Hawaiians, you have the Japanese. You know what I'm saying? You got the Russians, all of them, right? But they all come from a particular nations within the Bible because they have a biblical nationality. Now, the Most High God said we'll be set upon high above these nations. Why? Because every nation of people I just named, well, of course, the Russian man would be an Edomite as well, right? But of course, they have the biblical nationalities in the Bible, right? The reason why I'm saying this is because every nation had a hand in oppressing Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in one way or another. You know, a lot of times they won't say anything. They won't admit to it. Why? Because the so-called Caucasian man, the so-called Arabs, Japanese, you know, all the Asians, the Middle Easterns, and Hawaiians are prideful bastards. And they got to Shalom, Most High in Christ, young man Ricardo, the water for tuning in, right? They've got to live deliciously off of oppressing us, right? Now we do know this. If you've seen a white person, you have a white friend, he gets the benefit off of the rape, rob, and pillage that his forefathers did to your ancestors. So for you to go and be friends with him and to strengthen his rulership in this kingdom or strengthen his ability to gain more rulership in his own kingdom is a slap in the face to your ancestors. That's what you fail to realize. You fail to realize why the so-called number one oppressor on the earth, the so-called white man, the one that does the most filth, right? Of course, they all had hands, but the so-called Caucasian man is just a filthy, vile, sick individual and does nothing but what? Spill blood. And I say all that to say this, that if you join with him or you invest more in his businesses to help build him up more as an individual here in his own kingdom, that's a slap in the face, because Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians literally built up America. So for you to help him build up more on top of the rape, rob, and pillage, the iniquity that he's lived through on top of your ancestors' dead bones is a slap in the face to your ancestors. And it's something that you should look back in the mirror and reflect on. Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? You know, it got to be something. I got to find some type of information. I got to come to some type of understanding and realization is why did we go through these things? Why? Well, in the scriptures in Deuteronomy, right? And I believe it's the 27th chapter. It says that, not the 27th chapter, 28th chapter, right? The 15th verse, right? That if we did not keep all the laws, statutes, and commandments, right? And hearken diligently to the Most High God, that all these curses would come upon us. Now, we were at top, like I once said in the beginning of class. We were at the top, but we decided to follow another nation. When we did that, the Most High God said, oh, you would rather disobey me to go follow a false God. When in fact, if you don't know, well, I'll educate you to know that the first commandment is to what? Love the Most High God with all thine heart and to put no other God before thee. Well, that's exactly what we did. And when we did that, the Most High God said, you know what? You like it better over there. I will allow them to teach you their ways and allow you to go and follow their ways since you want to be a disobedient child. Now, that's more of a regular conversation that you would have here today in America. You know, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that are fathers. If you have a child, a son or a daughter, you telling them, hey, don't go to that party because you know around them parts, it's a little violent. You might get hurt. You're hanging around the wrong crowd. I don't need you over there around that weed, them drugs, police, yada, yada, yada. Now you get caught up in something. The entire time your pop's been telling you not to go over there, but you disobeyed him, right? You disobeyed him. What is he going to do? Well, he's going to allow whatever consequences that happen to use that as a chastisement so you can have a better understanding to not do those things again and learn from it. That's what it's for. Well, if God say in the Bible, it say that we're not supposed to be smoking weed and doing drugs and doing crack and all this, but then when you do get caught with it, you've been doing it and the law enforcement's apprehend you and then send you to jail and you have to serve time. Well, you wanted to follow their ways. You didn't listen to your father and decided to follow your little homeboys in the world, and what? It got you in trouble, and now you're serving jail time. Or now you're strung out on drugs and you're homeless, you're on the street. Those are the consequences. Well, the Most High God says, you should love your brother, to not hate your brother without a cause, or you'll be in fear of the judgment, right? And what do? Well, we follow our oppressors. They always beefing and always unaliving people, and now we gangbang. And now we gangbang on blocks that we don't own. We don't own those land. We pay property tax, but we don't really own it. You might be on a block. You don't own that block. You don't own that apartment complex. You live there, and you pay who? The god doggone office, and they pay who? The person that owns the apartment complex. You own nothing there. And yet we fight over blocks and streets for what? To better our oppressor's kingdom. Because the longer that we are down, the longer that we are fighting and beefing, it gives them more time and more time and more time to what? To focus more on their goal, to focus more on their mission. And that is what? Improving their kingdom. Because they want to stay here forever. I've said this many times. That's the exact reason why they have what? That's the exact reason why they have the Space Force. The Space Force is a reason for what? Because they've been seeing these UFOs, and they're going to attack those UFOs. This is biblical. It says in Acts 4:26 that the kings of the earth rose up against God and his Christ. They're going to fight Christ, or attempt to, because they want to still rule this place, because the so-called Caucasian man thinks he's what? He thinks he is God. That's why he goes and he says that he tries to change what's going on in space. He tries to delegate everything, how genders can be switched, and you can turn it to a transformer, and a woman can go into a man can go into a woman, or two women can get married, or two men can get married, right? That's what they do. Most High Christ. I'm gonna get to it in a second, right? That's exactly what they do. They go and flip everything because they think that they are the creator. And that's the exact reason why they have the Space Force, because they want to defeat Christ. Well, once they don't even know what's in the UFOs, they think it's gray aliens, right? But they don't know that it's filled with angels of God that are coming alongside Christ to fight and defeat America. They have the Space Force to try to defeat them. They don't know who they're going up against. And if they just even have a chance of defeating those UFOs and Christ, they're going to crown themselves the king, crown themselves God of the entire universe, because a so-called Caucasian man does not believe in God for real. And it wouldn't make sense, because God is not for him. God is for blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, or blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It's not for anybody else on the face of the earth. Can I get Isaiah 14:2? When you got that, you can go ahead and read it.
Khan, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Right. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, right? Now, remember earlier when I was saying that rulership is coming sooner than ever for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? Well, it's right around the corner. I don't know if you know, if you've been paying attention into the news. Well, in the news, we already know that what? World War III is on the brink. Now, if you are not in the truth and don't have this understanding of what's going on in the world, America is fin to win. That's what's going to happen. And the reason why it's going to end is because it's prophesied in the scriptures, right? It's prophesied in the scriptures that World War III will be the way that America is destroyed, right? Or the way that all of our oppressors, the ones that's had us captive, that their kingdoms will be destroyed, right? The Most High God said the house of Israel, the Israelites, blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, the so-called Native Indians, the Gadites, the so-called Levites, the so-called Haitians, the so-called Judites, the so-called African Americans, or the Negroes, or the niggas as you call us. Then you got the so-called Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, the Colombians, the Dominicans. You got the Guatemalans, the Argentinians, the brothers in Chile, the brothers in Hungary. You got the brothers in where else? You got the Seminole Indians. You got the tribe of Reuben. You know what I'm saying? Brothers out there on the coast of Florida. You know, you got brothers out there in Brazil and South America, right? And it's so on and so forth, right? All of these people are part of the house of Israel, the 12 lost tribes, the nation of Israel. And it says that we will possess them in the land of the Lord. Well, who are we going to possess? Who are we going to possess? Now, let me ask you this question. This is a simple way that if somebody says, they'll say, well, God loves everybody. And everybody's going to heaven if you just profess with your mouth that you follow Christ, right? Well, to really follow Christ means what? You have to be ye therefore perfect as our Father is in heaven. Last time I checked, our oppressors do not keep all 613 laws, statutes, commandments. They don't keep all the laws, statutes, commandments. Therefore, they cannot be perfect. They don't even believe in God. Therefore, they cannot be perfect. They don't understand the times we're in. They don't understand the wisdom, the understanding. They have no discernment. They have no compassion. They have no sympathy. They have no empathy. They're not fit to rule, and they're not fit to follow Christ. So I say it all to say this. Well, specifically, it says that in the scriptures, Christ said, he told his disciples, he said, do not go into the ways of the Gentiles or the ways of the Samaritans. Now, the Gentiles were who? The so-called oppressors, right? And who are the Samaritans? So-called heathens, oppressors as well. They dwelled in the land of Samaria. Make that plural, you would be a Samaritan, or the Samaritans if you're talking about them in a general whole sense, right? Now, with that being said, I said I had to say this. He said the house of Israel. Well, we know biblically that all these other nations come from what? They come from a different sect of what? Of a nation. We already know that the Egyptians were what? Africans, Hamites. They're totally different people from us. We might got the same skin color, but they're totally different. We already know that the so-called Middle Eastern man, the so-called Arabs, right? They might have the same color as us, but they're totally different people. If they were of the same people, then they would have not what? They would have not oppressed us. They would have not had us captive. But they had us captive. Why? Because that was always in them. And that's what they wanted. They liked it. You know? Well, I'll say this for lack of better terms. We went into captivity, of course, because we wanted to follow them, right? But I say the things that happen in captivity. You know, cutting the babies out of women's stomach, you know, while she's still pregnant. You know, cutting cut a woman's nipples off. You know, they cutting brothers' rods off and castrating men, cutting your toes off. You know, whipping you strapped up to a tree, chained up to a tree, and beating the life out you in front of women and in front of your son, right? They over here killing your son and throwing him in alligator-infested waters. They over here hunting you down with dogs, shooting you, raping you in front of your woman, raping you in front of your son, all to what? Demasculate you. All for what? Power and gain. All for authority. Those are the people that are not a part of the nation of Israel. Because it wouldn't have said that in the scriptures when Christ told the disciples to not go into the ways of the Gentiles and Samaritans. The Samaritans were what? Not of the nation of Israel, which means what? That they were heathens. He said, don't go that way. He said, go into the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The ones that have no herd dog, the ones that have no shepherd. Because we're lost sheep. I don't know if you've ever seen a herd of sheep, but without a shepherd, without a herd dog, they're pretty lost. And since we decided to follow the ways of the other nations, we didn't have nobody to lead us. We had to find our own way back. And that's a very hard thing to do when you're being intimidated by the beast of the field, the subtile beast. You have something to say?
Con. I think it was Matthew 5:10, I believe, when Christ said, "Go not to the do not go into the way of the Gentiles, but rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." When he said Israel, was he referring to the northern kingdom, or as in Israel, as in the northern kingdom as well as the Jews?
Hold up. Well, it wasn't Matthew 5 and 10. I believe it was Matthew 10 and 5. So he had it mixed up. It was mixed up. So it was Matthew 10 and 5, right? When he said to go into the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he's talking about us as a nation, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, because we're all a part of the nation of Israel. You got to understand this. Christ's mission and his whole message when he was roaming the earth was to bring the two sticks back together, because blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were split up. So it would be unbrotherly and not of God if God were to say, well, go and just save the northern kingdom and forget about the southern. No, because we're all one big family. You get what I'm saying? He wouldn't just say, well, just go save the northern kingdom, forget the southern. No, go save the southern and forget the northern. No, all of us is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, because we were split up. You know, we went against each other. You know, at the times when we were ruling, it wasn't like that. But of course, when we followed the ways of our oppressors and started following their ways, and they started spitting in their little 2 cents and causes division between us and causes to go against each other, and we started beefing against each other, Christ was to come to be the mediator to show blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians we can live in peace once again together. And he came in the likeness of his brethren, right? And he came in the flesh, and he came to show that you can keep all the law, statutes, and commandments and not commit sin. You can be perfect as our Father is in heaven. And guess what? You can dwell in peace with your brethren and your sisters. So he was talking about the entire nation of Israel. He wouldn't just be singling out, oh, we're just going to say the Hispanics and the Native Indians, forget the blacks. No. Christ was black himself. You think he's just going to say, forget about the black people and just go say the Native Indians and the Hispanics? No, that wouldn't be of God. That's not God's will. You know, that's something that, you get what I'm saying? That's something, okay, take a look at it like this. That's something that if you ever see, you know, people that's individualites, people that's not in the truth, they're in the world, they're trying to find their way, right? And they stumble across, well, maybe I think that the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel is all Negro, right? They think that all 12 tribes are just black people, right? When in all actuality, you know, we black and brown people, we all black, but that's just a name that they call us here in America. They call us black. We're not black. We understand that, right? But that's just a name. But if you really want to be technical, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are black and brown people. I mean, I've seen some Mexicans, you might think they black. I seen a Mexican the other day so dark, I thought he was black. He's black. If you really want to think about it, he would be considered black. People are going to call him black, right? I say all that to say this. Let me get the best terms to bring it home. Let me think. Right? Okay. I'm going to come back to it, but I'm going to stay right here on this point. Christ was sent to save blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. But all these other people will say, well, all the 12 nation, the 12 lost tribes are just all Negro, because they just believe it's just Negro.
So that's not
if they was appointed, I'm not saying if they was Christ, but if they was in his position, if they was like the Messiah, and the Most High God said to go and bring the 12 tribes back, they gonna think that it's just all Negro. They're gonna forget about the Hispanics and the Native Indians. He was gonna look at everybody that you would be considered black, like here in America. They would just go save all the Negroes and forget about the other brothers and sisters. And that's not God's will. And that's the reason why they're not fit to rule. And that's why Christ was sent here, because he understood the law to a T. He understood what was going on in the Bible, because he lived the law, he lived the Bible, and he actually walked that walk and talked that talk. He wasn't a hypocrite. You got some people that believe that it's just blacks and Hispanics and not Native Indians. That's what they believe. Give me Jeremiah, I think it's 50 and 33. Give me Jeremiah 50 and 33. I'm gonna show you that that's not the case. It's not just Negro only.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
Mm-hmm.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
Right. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. It says that we are oppressed together, which means blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians were all oppressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. Right? That's like another scripture I'm paraphrasing in Deuteronomy when it talks about that we were in thirst and hunger and nakedness, right? It wasn't just black people out in the cotton fields. It was Hispanics as well and Native Indians, because like I said, Hispanics and Native Indians were so dark that they used to call them niggas. Another thing I'll say, that the so-called Hispanics got conquered by the conquistadors, which were Spaniard people, which were so-called Caucasian people that just speak Spanish. And they conquered who? The Hispanic race. Or they conquered the Mexicans and gave them a language of Spanish. Right? We got conquered by who? The Europeans, just like the Native Indians got conquered by the Europeans, right? Got their land taken from them, from Christopher Columbus, the so-called European, and brought blankets filled with monkeypox, and brought swine and all types of filthy white women over here, and white men, and all types of filth. And it took all their land, took all the buffalo, and then unaligned them, and then made the Native Indians beef against each other. I don't know if they know about that, but that's definitely historical. And that's something that they tend to leave out. That they made Native Indians fight against each other. The Native Indians got their land took. Texas was Mexico. It was called Tejas. They kicked the Mexicans out, built a border between Mexico and Texas, the entire border. You know how long that is? And then demand that you have to get a green card to prove your citizenship because you're illegal. No. The so-called Caucasian man is the true alien on the earth, the true illegal. He's the one that came here unannounced. He's the one that came here and literally what? Stole land. He's a thief. And last time I checked, according to the law here in America, if you break inside somebody's home unannounced, that's called breaking and entering. Well, the so-called Caucasian man has some crimes to pay for. He broke in and entered in what? To the Native Indians' land. That's what he did. The same over there with the so-called Jewish man over there in Israel, right? He broke in and entered in the land of Israel, the so-called Holy Land for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Well, he's not supposed to be there. He's not supposed to be there right now. You gotta understand something, man. They took us captive. We were all oppressed together. Don't just say there was blacks in slavery. Hispanics were getting hung on trees as well as Native Indians. They were getting whipped as well. They caused division within our community and caused the beef against each other. You got something to say?
No, Slacky, sir, Slacky for taking up part of the lesson at the time.
No, you could go ahead.
That was I think you misinterpreted. I wouldn't want to talk about. I was talking about as far as the Northern Kingdom was dispersed at the time, and another nation that were there, and that was the reason why the Lord Christ said, "Don't go up that way."
Right.
So he said, "But rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." I thought he was saying that if you were to go up there, then only look for Israelites from the Northern Kingdom, because it seemed like they were already in the same place. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but okay. Okay. I understand I don't want to get too long on it because it could turn into like a breakdown and whatnot, but I'll just briefly say this. What was the mission of Christ?
To unite two sticks?
To unite two sticks, right? Which would be what? The northern and southern kingdom, right? Which would consist of the 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel, which would consist of blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Get what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm trying to say. Christ wasn't some IUIC. Christ wasn't some individual. Like, Christ wasn't some Negro only. No, Christ came for all his brethren. He tried to bring back blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, the two sticks, because they were divided, like you said. It wouldn't just go to them at that time. No, it was all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. There was plenty of times he tried to bring blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians all together, because when we were dwelling in these lands, we were divided. It was division. We did have tension with each other, and the reason why is because we decided to follow our oppressors. By following their ways, they started to split us up. We followed their ways, and we became our faith became weak. Our zeal became weak because we were not following the Most High God. We're following heathens. When you follow heathens, you live in a lawless society and you have no faith. You're unbelieving. So it's easier for an oppressor to come and whisper something in your ear and cause you to beef against your brother. You're already living a life that's lawless. You're following the lust of your own flesh. You get what I'm saying? And then it's very easy to go against your brethren. And Christ came to say, hey, you better stop following these other nations. Come back and follow the law, statutes, commandments that the Most High God gave us. And that's why Christ was the mediator to bring back blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the two sticks. If that answers your question. So it was to everybody. It was to all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It wasn't just singling out or to say, well, go get them and just forget about them. No, because the whole mission of Christ dying on that cross was for what? That way, us today, here living today, have a chance at the kingdom of heaven, have a chance to follow Christ and to be ye therefore perfect as our Father is in heaven, and to not commit sin. You get what I'm saying? Because if this, the reason why you can't use that logic is because, well, then what was the whole point of Christ dying? We know Christ died for the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel consists of blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Now, if you want to use that logic or use it that way, right? I'm not saying that you are. But if you were, well, then you got to think about today's world. Today's world consists of blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. So is the ISUPK just supposed to, is it we just supposed to go save the Negroes and just forget about the Hispanics and Native Indians? No, because that wouldn't be of God. That wouldn't be Christ-like. You get what I'm saying? And of course, in Jeremiah 50 and 33, it says that we were oppressed together. Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians were all took captives by who? Our oppressors. And the Most High God says that the meek shall inherit the earth. What does meek mean? Meek means the long suffering. But last time I checked, based on history and concrete evidence, blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians are the ones that are the meek of the earth, the long suffering, which means what? Salvation is of the Jews, which is of the blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. We are the rightful heir of the promised land that the Most High God promised us. Get what I'm saying?
Come.
All right, that's a better understanding. You know. Most High Christ, Shalom on Christ. What's going on?
Shalom on Christ.
Let me get what was we just in? Isaiah 14 and 2.
Okay. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them, and the land of the Lord with servants and handmaid. And shall take them captives, whose captives they were, shall rule over their oppressors.
Right. Now hold up before we get into that, because I got to say something. Okay. Right, read that again.
Come, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord with servants and handmaids.
Right.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were.
Right.
And they shall rule over their oppressors.
Right. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord. What is the land of the Lord? Jerusalem. So-called Israel. That's where blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will rule under Christ. That's where our kingdom will be, because that's the holy land that the Most High God promised us. Like it says in Romans 9 and 4, who are the Israelites who pertain of the adoption, the glory, the covenants, and the service of God. Only the nation of Israel gets to inherit the kingdom of heaven. But we have to show that we are fit. And that's by what? Following the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And they shall take them, possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Is that not what we did for 400 plus years under the foot of our oppressors? We served them hand in hand. We was right there on their tail and did everything that they told us to do, and yet we get smacked in the face. And then all while we get smacked in the face, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians across the world still want to cleave on to them. You know why? Just like it says in the scriptures that the yoke of iron until it have destroyed us. They put a yoke of iron upon our neck till it have destroyed us. Through slavery, through the transatlantic slave trade, and us being oppressed by our oppressors and held captive to slave for them, to be servants and handmaids, that destroyed us. And then after that, all they had to do was just add a pagan religion into it and then coexisted with the Bible, because they knew that when they captured us, we were reading the Bible.
That's right.
We were speaking a different language. We were the Hebrew Israelites. Why do you think your grandmother always say, "Oh boy, it's hot out here. I'm working like a Hebrew slave"? God dog it, man. She's saying it right in front of your face because her grandma and her great grandma and her great 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 grandma were what? The God doggone Israelites the Bible speaks of, or the Hebrew Israelites, the Hebrew slaves that she says. They knew all this stuff, and they took it away from us. And what did they do? They knew that we are the most spiritual people. We're the people that are set upon high. So what's the easy way to take us out? Well, to attack our faith. That's what they did. Attack us spiritually. And then once they do that, they're going to hit you physically. Now you're spiritually and physically messed up. And the reason why we won't rise up against them is because we think that the Most High God does not love us, when in all actuality, he does. And the only reason why we go through these trials and tribulations here in America is because God loves us. But we aren't showing that we love him. The sooner that you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, the sooner that you'll see the Most High God will lift up off the curses of the nation of Israel. That's what you got to understand, right? Whose captives they were. So we're going to take our precious captives, whose captives they were. We were their captives. Now we're going to take them as our captives, and they shall rule over their oppressors, right? Now the definition of oppressor is this: a person or a group that oppresses people. Now, similar words would be what? A persecutor, a tyrant, a bully, a slave driver, a dictator, a torturer. Well, last time I'd say for 400 plus years, who has been tortured? Who has been the tyrant of the earth? The so-called oppressors. Who have they tormented? Who have they caused trauma to? Every Black, Latino, and Native Indian household on the face of the earth. Those are the oppressors, not us. We haven't oppressed people, which means what? The so-called Jewish man isn't the real Jew. He was an oppressor. Did you not know the so-called Jewish man had more slaves than the average white man? Oh yeah, they was getting down and dirty with that slave trade. But yet we want to say they're the real Jews. We want to give them some type of praise and let them have they fake holy day. That's not even of them, because they aren't the people in the book. What we have to do is this: follow the law, statutes, and commandments, so the Most High God can do a pulling down of the strongholds. Go ahead, Shamarwan.
Yeah. I just want to pull a precept, because saying it's so heavy. Let me get Revelations 21, and we'll start at 1. Mm-hmm. All right, because what you're saying is so heavy because people don't understand that we are going to oppress our oppressors in the land of the Lord. Okay, and this is how all the other nations make it into the kingdom of heaven. They make it into the kingdom of heaven under their oppression, because we're going to have to oppress those who oppressed us. Because when we read, we understand that there are 12 gates of heaven, right? Mm-hmm. And on each gate has the name of a tribe. So if that's the case, then where do all the other people come into heaven? Except by oppression. Go ahead and somebody get that for me.
Khan, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth.
Uh-huh.
For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
Okay. And there was no more sea. There was no more of this wave. All right. So this first heaven is going to pass away. It says there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. Okay. That new heaven, that new earth, that new heaven is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in rulership.
Right.
That new earth is going to be the change of us coming into rulership and them getting back in their rightful place.
Mm-hmm.
Drop down to 12.
Khan, verse 12. And had a wall great and high.
Uh-huh.
And had gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
You see, it says that and it was a great wall, it was high. Okay. The way we are going to build it, have our kingdom built, is going to be incredible. Okay. And it says, and at the gates there was 12 angels. All right. And then on each gate there is a name from the 12 tribes of Israel. That is important. That is important to understand, because these are your entryways, right? Why don't it have, why isn't Moab on the gates of heaven? Why isn't Esau? Why isn't Ham? See, these are things we got to take into account. Okay, continue reading.
Khan, verse 13. On the east, 3 gates.
Mm-hmm.
On the north, 3 gates. On the south, 3 gates. And on the west, 3 gates.
You see, 3 times 4 is what? It's 12. And these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And we have to have a understanding on this, because these are the rulers of the kingdom of heaven. Everybody else, they are just there for a service. Salakia.
And the Most High in Christ, man, get that brother in hand, man. And he absolutely right. And that's what you gotta understand. That new heaven is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Why? Because we are the rightful heir. We're the rightful rulers of this earth, and nobody else. We show the most compassion. After 400 plus years, we still treat white people and Arabs and Asians and Hawaiians with the utmost respect.
Right.
How are we not the ones to rule this earth? We're the ones that abide by every rule here in America. We follow the laws of the land, but the only laws that we don't follow is the laws of God. But see, that's what you got to understand. When you follow the laws of God, you can still follow the laws of the land, but you can't be friends with the people in the laws of the land.
That's right.
As much as you think you can. Yeah, you can say what's up to him. You might have a white co-worker. You can say what's up to him, talk to him. It's not against the Bible to do that. You know what I'm saying? You can, you out somewhere, you eating, and he sit down next to you, have a conversation. That's cool. But as far as partaking in his lifestyle, partaking in his nation's lifestyle, that's something you can't do. Because the Most High God has something far better planned for you. Understand this. If you are a D1 athlete and you're projected to go top 5 in the draft, and you're the only one that can make it in your family to help them get out of the hood, your family's going to do everything in their power to keep you away from distractions, keep you away from people that are going to lessen your chances of being a multi-million-dollar man, a $200 million man. That's what the Most High God is trying to do when he's giving us the law, statutes, and commandments. He's like that parent that's trying to get you out of trouble, to keep you on the right path. Because if you don't and you follow their ways, you miss out on a chance of rulership. You miss out on a chance of gold-paved streets. You miss out on a chance to finally have some get back for what the so-called oppressors have done to your ancestors. And that's rape, rob, and pillage. But thus saith the Lord, he's going to do that vengeance for us. But you know what we get to reap on the other side? Rulership. You get to have, Asians and the Vietnamese and the Koreans, they get to do your feet free $99. You never had to pay $80, $100 to get your feet done. Free $99 because they serve you. Gold paved streets. I'm talking about, we might not even have cars. We might have chariots, some UFOs. The clothes gonna be different. You talking about Balenciaga? That ain't got nothing on that fine go to you fast, on that Ofer. Gallery department ain't got nothing on that. Yeezy ain't got nothing on that. The stuff that you will get to inherit in the kingdom of heaven are far more greater than what you get to inherit here on this earth. And that's something that you really have to fight for. Do you want it or do you not? Do you want to have a kingdom of heaven where you can sit out on a gold paved street at 3 a.m, playing dominoes in the middle of the street, playing spades and drinking a Corona, and you don't have a curfew? That sounds like heaven to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's all we want to do right now in this captivity. But of course, you got a Karen coming along calling the police. We got to go back inside the house in our own neighborhood. We work 40, 80 hours a week, and I can't have a beer and be loud. I can't have a beer and be loud, but yet y'all can come over here and take the Native Indians' land, kick the Mexicans out, and tell them to get a green card. Call them illegal immigrants. Say that I'm illiterate. I can't speak when you give me a language I ain't even know. Y'all can come over here and rape, rob, and pillage, but I can't play dominoes and be loud in the neighborhood because I'm a nuisance. I'm an angry Black man. I'm a disturbance. I'm a savage. You're right. No, you're really the savage. You got to understand this. The law, statutes, and commandments is the road to righteousness. And the road to righteousness is what? The road to rulership. They had their kingdom, but God dog it, I want Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to have theirs. I'm tired of seeing them get to do everything that they want to do, and they have no consequences to their actions. What thus saith the Lord, World War III is around the corner. And as I always say, I think we got one more year up in us. I say 2024, we might be going home. Now, hopefully that come to pass. You know, hopefully that come to pass. Christ come back with them angels. I get to see them UFOs again and wreak utter destruction to this place of what they have done to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Because it hurts my soul that every time I go on the TV, I see that one of us is unalive. It really hurts me. And I may have never met that person, but he is my brother. That's my sister. And I have a heart. I have empathy. I have compassion on my people for what they go through. Because the same stuff they go through, I done went through. You have something to say, Yaganai?
Con, I don't want to come. I'm just listening in. I don't want to go ahead.
No sweat out. No sweat. If you got something to say, you can go ahead and say it. Give me Isaiah 49 and 23. You got it. You go ahead and read it.
Khan, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verse 23. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth, and lift up the dust of thy feet. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me.
Right, and kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens shall be thy nursing mothers. Now, as you know, in the times of slavery, our women breastfed their children. You understand that? It was the roles were reversed. We had to do things in place of them. But now they're going to do things in place of us, right? And they shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth and lick up the dust of thy feet. Now, of course, if you've been at camp or understand camp, this right here is called a boot kiss. That our so-called oppressors shall bow down and kiss the boots of the children of the slaves. The reason this being is what? It shows an act of humility, and it shows that, hey, maybe you might be different from the rest of your ancestors. Maybe you might be a different, honorable, honest white man. You might actually feel sorry for the children of the slaves because you had the benefit off of our ancestors and get to live deliciously here in America. Maybe you might be sorry. But as you know, the so-called white man is a prideful bastard. And that's pride in thine heart that have destroyed thee. And he says, who shall bring me to the ground? Because every time we read this scripture, he says, I bow down to nobody but Christ. Well, in that day, you won't be bound down to Christ. And if you are, you'll be unalived. Because that's what he's coming back to do. He's coming back to bring a sword. Right? And thou shalt know that I am the Lord. You should also know that he is the Lord God of the nation of Israel, that we are his children. At least just show some act of humility. That's how much the Most High God loves us. And this is at least that he asking you to do, oppressors, is just kiss the boots of the children of the slaves. I mean, God dog, for 400 plus years, they've been serving you, and you can't kiss your servants' feet for all the blood, sweat, and tears they didn't put in America? You can't do that? Let me tell you something. I'm at Officer Godinwan's house right now, right? And then you coming into his subdivision, it's Hispanics all throughout this building. Now, just last week I was over here, and they had 3 houses put up. I come back, it's a whole block of houses. I kid you not, done. I'm talking put up. A whole block of houses. You can't kiss a Hispanic's feet? For crying out loud, if it weren't for the Hispanics, would you even have a house to stay in? The Hispanics literally stay up night and day building your $400,000, $500,000, $300,000 homes and get told that they need papers to be considered citizens of America. Go ahead, Shamarwan.
No, it's heavy what you're saying, because all right, so I used to work HVAC, all right, and that's just putting the air system up in the house.
AC.
All right, so we be putting the air system in the house. We start at 8 a.m. It's the car starting at 8 a.m. And by the time lunchtime comes, they got half the damn house up. They was putting up houses faster than we could put the air system in a house.
Right.
So like you.
Nah, Most High in Christ. That's exactly my point. Like, these are the people that served America for 400 plus years. For quite some time. And you can't just kiss the boot of a Hispanic man. For crying out loud, if it wasn't for his uncle, you wouldn't have a house to sleep in, Mr. White Man. You wouldn't have a good hotel, a good penthouse if it wasn't for Hispanics. You can't kiss on boots. If it wasn't for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you wouldn't know how to make food with seasoning. How many times I see a video on TikTok, my red watching TikTok, I see a goddamn Edomite cooking chicken with nothing on it. The same way he bought the chicken at HEB is the same way he put it in the oven. I done literally seen them put bleach on chicken. Done seen them put dishwashing pods, Tide pods on it. I done seen them put incense on the goddamn chicken. Man, the so-called Caucasian man is the goddamn deceiver, the devil the Bible speaks of. He's a profane beast. That's what he is. And if it wasn't for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to show people how to dance, cook, dress good, look good, take care of yourself, they wouldn't know how to do any of that. They literally learned everything from us. The Native Indians taught the so-called Caucasian man how to live off the land. They taught him how to live off the land, which berries to eat, which leaves you can use, which creeks you can swim in, and which type of water, how to cleanse the water with the sun and boil it. You know what I'm saying? You got something to say, Yaganai?
Yeah, I got a precept.
Go ahead.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 26 and verse 7. And when we cried unto the Lord, God of our father, so we crying unto the Lord right now, the men of the ISUPK, we crying unto the God of our father. So I'm going to read on. And the Lord heard our voice and looked on our affliction and our labor and our oppression. So the Lord, our God, is with us. So we've been crying out. So we just got to hold on and keep on keeping those commandments, and everything else is going to be taken care of. Coming out of my con.
And Most High in Christ, man. The Lord knows our trials and tribulations. He understands. And and guess what? By us following the ways of our oppressors, he said, hey, go ahead. Maybe you'll learn your lesson. Maybe you'll look back and say, you know what, Yahweh, Most High God, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have been following your ways all along, because your ways are what? To the ways of righteousness, the ways of rulership. You know how I know? Christ was the only begotten son of the Most High God, right? Christ was professed to be what? A perfect man, and he was a perfect man. I'm going somewhere with this, so follow along. If Christ kept all the law, statutes, and commandments, Christ was blameless, right? He kept all the law, statutes, and commandments. He gave his life for his brethren that he had not seen, his sisters that he had not seen, because nobody else was as blameless as him. And he followed the Bible to a T. He did not commit no sin, right? He didn't commit no sin. And he died for us to have a better chance, and to realize, hey, I don't have to live in sin and I can be like Christ. It's the whole reason why we say that we're going to rule under Christ. Christ is going to come back and rule what? He's going to rule in the Holy Land, the land that the Most High God promised to the Israelites. So it is only evident, it is only right that you understand that the ways of righteousness is rulership, because Christ is the spitting image of righteousness equals rulership. That's what you fail to realize. Christ was a perfect man, and he was righteous, and righteous got him what? A chance to inherit the kingdom of heaven, and it gave him rulership. Now, if you follow Christ the same way, you have a chance to inherit the kingdom of heaven and rule under Christ. That's where you connect the dots at. I mean, God dog, we already know that when Christ come back, what is he going to be doing? Ruling. Well, how did he have that chance? Because he was perfect. He was perfect. Give me Revelations 5 and 10.
Okay. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 10. And has made us unto our God kings and priests. He shall reign on the earth.
Nah, read that again. I don't think they heard that.
Okay, verse 10. And has made us unto our God kings and priests. And we shall reign on the earth.
But it says a word right there. It says, and who? And who?
It has made us unto our God kings and priests. And we shall reign on the earth.
And we. Who is the we? The nation of Israel. Who is the we? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. And where did it say, well, we will reign on the earth? That defeats the whole purpose that a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man has to die to go to heaven.
That's right.
See, now I started to realize it. I understand why little Black boys and Hispanics and Native Indians enjoy the gangbanging lifestyle. I understand now. Because we follow the ways of our oppressors, we follow violence, but the so-called oppressor has caused us to be divided. He caused us to follow the ways of beefing with each other. And he's the number one progenitor of lying to us, is saying that you have to die to go to heaven. So if you think of a Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian boy in the hood that's struggling on Section 8 and food stamps with roaches in the crib, he going to result to what? He can result to beefing, just how the oppressors want it to be. And he's going to be the biggest gangbanger, the biggest drug dealer, and kill the most of his brothers. Why? Because he thinks that if he dies, he gets to go to heaven. I understand it now. Now I see why our brothers and sisters go so hard for the gangbanging culture. Now I see why they try to coexist, gangbanging culture with the Black and brown community. When in all actuality, that is not of us. That is of the so-called Caucasian man, because it says that he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth. You got to understand this, man. It says the Most High God made us to be kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. The kingdom of heaven for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will be on the earth over there in Jerusalem, over there in Israel, our true holy land. You have something to say, Zakaria?
What you're saying right now is so heavy about how gang members believe that they can do so much wickedness and still go to heaven. Because I remember Officer Shimon, may know what I'm talking about. It was a saying that the Bloods used to use, and they said all dogs go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? I want to add that in there.
Yes, understand, Shimon?
Well, yeah, because I come from the gangbanging background, and that's what it is. And because of Christianity, your mother can accept you being a drug dealer. She can accept you being a gangbanger and going to heaven. But when you come into the truth, all of a sudden now you're headed for hell. Because you follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Now you're headed for hell.
Right.
But when you was a drug dealer, handing her $150, to go play bingo, you wasn't going to hell. You was out there gangbanging and dominating the hell out of every damn body. You wasn't going to hell. And because of Christianity, we think everybody, just like the Bloods. We think all dogs go to heaven because no matter how wicked your uncle was, he molested about 8 of your cousins, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a gangbanger. He was an alcoholic. He loved cocaine. But Uncle Reggie is in heaven right now, looking down upon you. He wasn't looking upon you on earth. We could, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we need to stop looking that when people die, we saying that they looking down upon us when they wasn't looking upon us while they were living. Here in the UPK, we look upon our family. We look upon our loved ones. We look upon our responsibilities. Your father did not. He's not in heaven. You know, Salaki.
No, good night. What you just said was absolutely heavy. We got to stop saying that they looking down upon us when they were on this earth. They didn't give a damn about you. Just like Shamarwan said. Just like Zakaria said that all dogs go to heaven. That's what they believe. Because everybody wants to be equal when in all actuality, the Bible is not for everybody to be equal. It's not. It's for the nation of Israel to be at peace, to live in righteousness and unity, for us to be equal. But it's for everybody else, no. Just like the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. Well, that was created for who? The so-called oppressors. Well, we have a Declaration of Independence. It's called the Holy Bible. And it's only for who? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
That's right.
It's not made for everybody else. That's why it's called a Holy Bible. Holy means separate. Not for everybody on the face of the earth. But God, dog, you take your Declaration of Independence. You just had cold words. When you said every man was created equal, you meant that as a holy Declaration of Independence for you people. But it's for the Holy Bible, it is separate for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And whether you like it or not, it doesn't really matter because the Most High God chose us and not you. And last time I checked, I would rather us be on the right side of God than the wrong side.
That's right.
We have a chance to rule this earth. Give me Isaiah 45 and 17.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confounded world without end.
Right. All right. Give me Revelations 11 and 4. But don't read it just yet, right? I'm going to break this down. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Now, we know in the scriptures, it says that salvation is for the Jews. We know this. Who are the real Jews? The so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, right? Ye shall not be ashamed. Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confounded, world without end. Confounded means what? To be confused. You shouldn't be confused. You shouldn't be confused because all along the Most High God chose the nation of Israel. So don't be confused when salvation is for you because as it is written in the scriptures, the Most High God sent Christ to die for us. Only us. And we're going to have a world without end. That doesn't mean that we won't die. We'll still die because the Lord is practical. And that's why the ISUPK, that's why the Lord is with the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, because we think practical just how the Most High God thinks practical. We will reign upon this earth. Humans will die. But when it says the world without end, it means the world of righteousness, the world of peace, the world of brethren and sisters dwelling in unity. That's the world without end. We'll never be without the truth. Because for generations and generations and generations, we will be raising our kids, our sons and daughters in the truth. And we'll never know what sin is. Our world will never end. The nation of Israel will never end because we will forever follow the laws and statutes and commandments of the Most High God, as we were intended to do since the beginning of time. And it'll be better than Wall Street. It'll be better than anything that we have ever created here in America. Times 100 when we go back to the Holy Land, the Promised Land. It'll be way better. Give me a Revelations Revelation 11 and 14.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, so you want verse 4 or verse 14?
Nah, 14.
Verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
Right. Now, woe means what? Destruction.
Damn right.
Now, we already know the first woe was what? World War I. The second woe was World War II. It already passed. It says, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Now, how ironic is that the third woe is World War III. How ironic is that we are on the brink of World War III. It says the second woe was past, the second destruction. Now, this particular war won't be as much on the ground. It will be more of bombs being placed on the ground because it is thermonuclear war that will destroy and decimate the ways of America and get America up out of here for good, right? You see they got a charge over there? And the third woe cometh quickly. Well, World War III is definitely approaching fast. I don't know if you know, but we was almost there, just almost there a couple months ago. It was that close to pushing that button, but we're even closer now. And as a Black, Latino, and Native Indian man, you should be rejoicing because this is a chance that Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians have a chance to be saved, to be let go, to lock you away from this stronghold, this chokehold, and this knee that America has put on our necks. And you should be rejoicing. But you know, it would be that much more sweeter if you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and then when Christ come back and the angels come back to fight for our salvation, you know that you might have a chance to inherit the kingdom of heaven. But if you choose not to and to follow the ways of America, to be partakers of her sins, her plagues, and famines, that you can be consumed in that thermonuclear war. Now, me and the brothers and sisters in the ISUPK, that is our whole mission, to save as many lives as we can, thus saith the Lord. And that is our whole mission, just like Christ did. I would rather you be on the good side than the bad side. Being on the bad side, there's really no much more coming back from that unless the Most High God has mercy on you. And last time I checked, I'm not the creator, I'm the creature. I just follow the law, statutes, commandments the creator has put in place. You must keep these laws because these laws allow us to do things in decency and in order. They allow us to be level-headed. They allow us to stay humble. They allow us to actually stay in order and build up our households to a certain degree and have a certain hierarchy system in those households. So that way we have good households. That way we have a good tree and it bears good fruit. But if you follow the ways of America, you follow the ways of a lawless society that does not know what rulership is, you will have a bad tree, and your bad tree will produce bad fruit. The good tree is the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana. And the fruit that it is producing is the men that you see in here, the little boys and little girls and the sisters that you see in here. Why? Because we understand the importance of what? Rulership. And that's what we're striving for. And guess what? It might not even just be for us. Because the biggest thing the Bible tells you is what? To care more about others than you do yourself. That's what Christ did. He cared more about others than he did himself. I mean, God dog, he gave his life on the cross for niggas and sisters he never seen, which are here today. And that's the same type of attitude that we have here. That's the same type of spirit and zeal that we have here. Read that again.
Verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
Mm-hmm. Anybody got something to say? You can chime in. Go ahead, Marwan.
Just real quick, what you're saying is heavy, especially about how the third woe cometh quickly.
Right.
Everybody is accusing Joe Biden right now of him trying to escalate the World War III because he wants to send 1,000 troops into Europe for active duty. All right, active duty means they're ready to get active. Okay, so these things are coming upon us, and it's coming quickly. You see the fall of America, and all you got to do is watch the fall of America to understand everything that's going to happen right here in this Bible, especially in Revelation. Because this is Babylon, okay? And that great dragon, that little serpent from the garden, he has become a great dragon, and he is going to fall. Okay.
You're absolutely right.
One more little thing. Hey. I got something I got to do, so I need to check up out of here. I just wanted to stop by real quick while I was over here.
All right, no,
my mother-in-law, I need to take her to go do a couple things before our conference call. But since I was over here, I wanted to sign on real quick, you know?
Most High Christ.
All right, shalom. Y'all bashim, y'all shabrak.
Y'all bashim, y'all shabrak. Yes, something to say? Go ahead, Yaganan.
Salaki, I got a precept.
Go ahead.
Book of Amos, chapter 5, and verse 18. Mm-hmm. Woe into the desire. Woe to you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. So we all know that everybody think that, the day of the Lord is going to be a glorious day. Popsicles, unicorns, rainbows, but we all know it's going to be a dark day.
Right. You're absolutely right. And if I could to add to that, that's absolutely right. That's heavy. Because of the last part, it says the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. And that's how we know that Exodus 15:3 is absolutely correct. For the Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name, right? And I say all that to say this. In order to get rulership, it has to be war. It has to be war. In order for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to rule, somebody got to come and put their foot down. And who will that be? Christ. He's going to come back and assert his reputation here in America. Go ahead.
No, Khan, if I could, I got another precept. It's to piggyback off what the officer Yaganan was saying. Mm-hmm. It's the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 2. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for.
Wait, it was 5 and 2, right?
Okay.
Oh yeah, so this is right. This is talking about the chariots, because obviously the chariots are going to be our salvation, and they're going to be in terrible fear, because like it says in the scriptures, I believe it's in Zechariah. Well, Zechariah does depict on how the chariots do look, but Zechariah was having a vision, right? I believe it's the 5th chapter, right? He's going, okay, well, not he's going, but this particular thing is talking about what? They shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. They're gonna be like amazed and scared when they see the doggone chariots, because the chariots are the salvation of the children of Israel. And in that day, like Yaganan said, it's going to be a dark day, because the entire earth is going to be filled with blood. It's going to be filled with blood. And the blood of our oppressors for what they have done, cause all the mischief against the Hebrews. What they've done to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, their blood's going to shed. And they're going to be amazed and be scared when they see the doggone chariots come across that sky, when Christ come back to send a sword and not peace. Because that third woe is when he's going to come, and it's coming very quick. Understand this. Christ coming back is like a childbirth. Before a child is being born into the world, a particular mother goes through a lot of labor pains. She goes through a lot of labor pains, and the more they increase, the more contractions get there, the more she's dilated, it's a greater chance that that kid is going to come a lot sooner. Now you know that the kid is coming. That's the same type of way what it is with Christ. These are labor pains that's going on here in America. And Christ is going to be that baby that's coming out. And he's going to do what? Utter destruction to this place. That's what's going to happen. It ain't gonna be no hugs and kisses, because in order for us to get rulership, we need somebody to come and save us. And not only that, in the midst of him doing that, we need somebody that's going to come and put their foot down. Because we can't do it. We can't. Now, the ways we can't do it until the ways that we can do it in Occupy is here at ISUPK, where every black and brown brother and sister, man, woman, and child should be, because this is the safe haven. And this right here, following the ways of Christ, like we do here in the ISUPK, is a way that you can combat with this empire. That's how you can combat this empire. Now, of course, the Lord said that vengeance is mine. That's why Christ is going to come back, thus saith the Lord, and fight for us. That's what's going to happen. But we can't fight them with guns. No, we fight them in a spiritual battle, not a carnal battle. And once you tend to do that, then you'll see, maybe it might seem fit for rulership. But you got to fight for it. Rulership ain't just going to be given to you. At least show that you want it. At least show that you can change your life, renew your mind, and not follow the ways of this filthy empire. At least show that you can change. But if not, you choose your own fate. May the Lord be with you. May that you do come to some type of realization to understand that, hey, we've been oppressed for far too long, and I want to rule. I'm tired of hoping for things that I have not seen. That I have not gotten and never will get. When you can fight to help build up Christ's kingdom and have a chance to be able to see things that you can actually see, and they can actually be yours, and you can own those things. And of course, that's when we're ruling underneath Christ in the kingdom of heaven. But if not, you choose your own. If I could, give me Isaiah 14:21.
No, Khan, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with city.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 22. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and call Babylon the name, and remnant, and son, and nephew, saith the Lord.
Right. Stop right there. Verse 21 says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. Right? So who we preparing slaughter for? Go ahead.
Our oppressor.
Right. And why?
For the iniquity of their fathers.
For the iniquity of their forefathers. Their forefathers were the ones that oppressed our ancestors, right? And it says that they do not rise. The Most High God don't want them to rise. Don't want them to go through some type of adversity to rise up to be a strong nation. He don't want them to be able to have a chance to possess land. Nor fill the faces of the world with cities. It won't be no more Las Vegas. It won't be no more Milwaukee, Wisconsin, California, Chicago's, Washington, D.C.'s. They're not going to fill the face of the world with their cities. It would be our cities. Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indian cities will fill the face of the world. We'll be able to possess land. We'll be able to rise up against them. But as for them, they have to prepare slaughter. That's what they got to do. They got to understand that they have committed so many crimes against the children of Israel. They've been so hypocritical. They're filled with iniquity. They're so sinful. They're so prideful. And they have to pay. They commit crimes, well, you must be judged for these crimes. Of course, as you see, they have not been judged for these crimes. But it's only right that they do get judged, thus saith the Lord. And that's why that's a good thing about the Bible. The Most High God does not forget. He never forgets anything. He remembers everything, every little detail. The Most High God knows how many pieces of hair is on a black man's head. He knows what you're going to do. He knows when you're going to be born, how much you're going to weigh. He knows everything. But because he is the creator. He is our father, and we are his children. So since he knows us that much and he cares for us that much, the same very people that oppressed his people that he cares for so much, and the same very people that they thought that we were the savages, that we were the bad guys, that we are not the children of Israel, that we are not the real Jews, we're just savages, niggas, and spicks and wetbacks, they have to pay. Because all along they were wrong. When in all actuality, you want to go back, they did know that. But of course, they got so much pride in their heart. And of course, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked because we decided to follow their ways. So the Most High God let them reign upon the earth, and we be servants and handmaids under them in a captivity. It got so big as we started to build their kingdom up and so prideful and say, nobody can take me to the ground. What y'all gonna do? And that's why they were in that position. But in all actuality, they filled their cup up and now they have to be paid back double. Paid back double. Give me Revelations 18:4.
Khan, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Right. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Now, who was the her? The her which would be America, or the great whore that sits upon many waters. A lot of people like to say Babylon the Great because it still has the same spirit of Babylon. Of course, we know Babylon was a captivity that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were held captive in. But we call this Babylon the Great because it has the same type spirit, right? That's why they call this place, you can say it's spiritually Egypt. They got the same type spirit, right? Salakia, right? And it says, come out of her, my people. Who is the her? America, that ye be not partakers of her sins. But what is sin? Sin is transgression of the law. For transgression of the law is sin. And that ye be not partakers of her plagues. If we come up out of the ways of America and follow the ways of God, none of these plagues will affect us. The bubonic plague, the swine flu, the bird flu, the Ebola, COVID-19, the Zika virus, so on and so forth. These things won't have an effect as much on us, or can be completely out of the way if we follow the ways of the Most High God. And what are the sins of America? Eating unlawful food, the swine, as it says in Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 7. It tells us what animals we can eat and what animals we cannot eat. It tells us what aquatic or how I say, what fish we can eat and what fish we can't eat. And here in America, they totally push that to the side and just do what the hell they want. That is a sin. And that is a sin that is partaking here in her, here in America, which is her. And the God says to be not partakers. In order for you not to be a partaker of this place and her sins is to come up out of her. Means stop following the ideologies and the ways of America. To be honest with you, like it says in the scriptures, the ways that they do are in vain. They're in vain. They made up Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not real. It's in vain. He's not a big man that has magical powers and rides around on a sleigh with 12 reindeer. That's a myth. He's not coming down your chimney. Those are your parents eating your cookies. Tooth Fairy not real. That's your parents putting money underneath your pillow. Ain't nobody coming to put Christmas presents beside your parents. Birthdays, professing yourself to be as of a god for one day. And if nobody tells you happy birthday, nobody says that they care for you, you got to all out alt with them. And now a 12-year friendship is now ruined. New Year's, that's not the real New Year's. Valentine's Day, vain. Marriages with the license, vain. How many times people get married and get a divorce the next year? Everything that they do is in vain. They say, well, I could cook the swan as long as I apply some heat to it, the germs will come out. You did that for no reason. That's not going to happen. You did that in vain. Following their ways is equivalent to what? A lawless life, a depressed life. Following the ways of God is the way to rulership. So which one do you really want? Do you want your people to have rulership and to have mansions and penthouses? You want 80 acres and 13 mules? Have a nice bed, good AC, never have to worry about nothing? Or you want to continue to live in the conditions that you're living in now? You have to make a choice. Obviously, if you follow the ways of America, you're partaking in her sins and you will receive her plagues. But if you come out of her and follow the ways of God and not be partakers of her sins, you won't receive the plagues that are coming to this place. Give me, I think it's verse 5.
Verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities.
Right. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. The Most High God remembers the iniquities of America, what they have done to the nation of Israel. And for that being what? That shows them, that shows God once again, and it should show you that the so-called oppressors are not fit to rule. They aren't. You can't tell me at one point in time they've actually led a nation and it's actually been good. I mean, you look at America, you have nice tall buildings, skyscrapers, nice houses, and etc. But they don't tell you behind the scenes who builds these things. The children of Israel. They don't tell you that sometimes when they get these things that are nice, they have to get it out in blood. They go and they murder to get it. And then try to form an alliance with the people that they raped, robbed, and pillaged. But they don't tell you that. We see behind the scenes, this all the stuff they're doing. But of course, what we see in the world, you see a good, glorious place. You get to go get food anytime you want. Go and get you something to drink anytime you want. Go to the store and get you some cigarillos anytime you want. You get to go to the club anytime you want. Mess with any type of race of woman anytime you want. And you don't be judged for it. Because America is lawless. And you think that the more money that you get here in America, you'll be on top and have a chance to rule like the elite Caucasian men that rule this world. And that'll never happen because you'll always be a setback. You'll be 20 steps back while they're 100 steps ahead. And you'll never catch them. What you're doing is you're fighting for the wrong rulership. America's sins have reached unto the heaven. And God has remembered what they have done to us. So instead of fighting for building up their kingdom, what you should be doing is fighting to tear down their kingdom. Because just like a lot of times, we don't forget about slavery. That's pretty much the only thing that, us Black people tend to remember. We tend to forget that Hispanics fought alongside us. We tend to forget Native Indians fought alongside us. We tend to forget that Hispanics and Native Indians are our brothers and were oppressed with us. Were picking cotton fields with us, or hung on trees with us, or in living in poverty with us. We tend to forget those things. But we want to remember just one thing, when we should remember all of the things, all the atrocities that we have gone through as a nation, just how God remembers all the things that we have gone through as a nation. And since their sins have reached all the way up there, the Most High God is noticing He's never forget. And since He doesn't forget, it says in the scriptures that vengeance is mine. And who is going to implement the Lord's vengeance on this earth? Christ, His only begotten Son, by the ways of UFOs, with 200 million angels in those UFOs. Because God remembers. You have to remember. You must remember what happened to the Mexicans, that they got their land taken and split up with the border and need green cars, that there's babies wrapped up in aluminum foil and dog cages and treated like they're some endangered species. This is a zoo exhibit. You must remember what happened to the native Indians when Christopher Columbus came over here and gave them blankets infested with monkeypox, all types of filth and diseases, and then unalived them, killed the buffalo, and then made them beef against each other, and then did not use the buffalo meat nor the fur. You must remember the transatlantic slave trade. You must remember the trails of tears. And once you remember all those things, follow the law, statutes, and commandments, so the Most High God can fight for us and tear down America, then you will have a chance at rulership. Then you do gain the understanding of what it really means to be righteous. What it really means that if you have a chance to inherit the kingdom of heaven, the meek do, and you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, you have a chance at actually being righteous. That's real righteousness. Following God for real. Following Christ for real. Not what America teaches us. Because the longer that you believe the lies that America teaches you, you know what's going to happen? When them chariots come back, you might not get beamed up. Matter of fact, you won't. Because you chose to build up another kingdom instead of building up Christ's kingdom. You chose for rulership here in America instead of rulership in the promised land the Most High God promised us. Which means what? You chose to be selfish instead of selfless. That's the difference between the two things. Anybody got something to say? You got no questions? You good?
God, I don't want to come.
All right, no sweat. Let me get my precept pad. Did I say Revelation 5 and 10?
No, you said Revelation 18 and 5.
No, I think I did say, yeah, I did. Let me get Acts 4 and 26.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 4, verse 26.
Mm-hmm.
The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ.
Right. So remember earlier when I was talking about the Space Force, right? The kings of the earth stood up, right? And the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ, right? The Space Force is them going up against Christ. Now, the men, Shalak and the ISUPK, do know that the chariots are what? Filled with black and brown angels, right? And if they're filled with black and brown angels that are coming to fight alongside Christ, now we do know that Christ is coming back via UFOs alongside black and brown angels and alongside 200 million of them at that, right? But let me tell you how much our oppressors hate for us to even have a chance to inherit the kingdom of heaven. Let me tell you how much our oppressors hate us that they don't even want rulership for us because we're this close, right? It says, and against his Christ, they literally made another branch called the Space Force, where they regulate the space, they regulate the airways out there in space, they regulate the planets, and they be white on rice on these UFOs. Now UFOs have come down to Earth. And I don't know if you've seen the videos, right? They had fighter jets trying to fight these UFOs. They try to shoot at them with tracer bullets. They try to shoot them with homing launchers and lock-on missiles and the jets. They try to hit them, and they can't catch them. They are literally trying to destroy the only vehicles that can come and save blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. The things that's depicted in the scriptures that's going to wreak utter destruction to this place. And our oppressors have built a space force to combat against that. And that's how you know that these are not our brothers. These are not our friends. They are, in fact, our enemies. Because why would you go against those things? Why? Especially when the men of the Lord tell you what these things are. And yet you up your security in your space force. You up your arms. You up your bullets and artillery to fight harder because you don't believe us, because you think that we're the lie. When in all actuality, we know the Holy Bible because the Holy Bible is for us and not for our oppressors. You see? And a little bit of them might do know what those are. They might do know who's driving those vehicles. They might. And they're that much more evil to go against them so that way you can be oppressed here longer. Well, this close. Understand this. When the third woe comes, like it says that it's coming quickly, World War III is right here. What's that? I'm gonna show you how close it is. This is I'm gonna see if it pop up on camera. Let me see if it pop up on camera. This emoji right here, with a little finger like this, that emoji, that's how close we are to getting the hell about this hell. We this close. You look at the emoji on your phones, it's like this much space between it. I can't even do it, but it's so close. That's how close we are to getting the hell up about this hell, man. That's how close. And when World War III kicks off, when they fight over there in the Middle East, why do you think they send all them troops over there? It's going to be a war. When they go over there fighting, when people are going to be fighting in, people going to be, unaliving people in Russia and China. Don't think that's not going to happen. Purge is real. That will happen. Then in the midst of all that, Christ's going to come back with the UFOs. And he's coming back to save us, the meek of the earth. Let me see. Let me get Matthew 5:5.
Come, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 5.
No. Wait. Matter of fact, I think, yeah. You can read that.
Come, verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Now give me Psalms 37:11. This is the one I really wanted, because I know Matthew 5:5 says the same thing, that the meek shall inherit the earth, but I want this one because it just dives in a little bit more detail. So give me Psalms 37:11.
Come, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
But the meek shall inherit the earth,
mm-hmm.
and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace.
Right, but the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Right? Who is the meek? Meek means what? Long suffering. Who is the long suffering on the earth? Well, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Right? And the abundance of peace. A large quantity of peace. A lump sum amount of peace. Meaning just a lot of peace. That's what we should delight ourselves in. We should have joy and be proud to dwell in peace. Because the meek of the earth, the meek shall inherit the earth, the long suffering. And is that much more closer. Right now in 2023, if you're a Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, I would advise you to contact your nearest school in your nearest city or nearest state. And nearest school by meaning a nearest school that is the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, in your nearest state or city. Get in contact with them. Get in class. Understand these scriptures, because these scriptures are going to save you. With that being said, be dwelled in the abundance of peace. So that way you have a chance to inherit the kingdom of heaven, because you are the meek of the earth. And the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall reign on the earth. Gather together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. We're the nation that's not desired. And that day, every nation will go back to its own people. Every nation going to go back to its own people. You're going to wish that you was alongside some people that actually gave a damn about you. And those people that actually give a damn about you, is the only people that go through the same types of trials and tribulations you go through, the same type of trauma, the same type of PTSD that you might suffer. And that's the nation of Israel, or lack of better terms, Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. And with that, that will conclude the class. If anybody has something else to say, I want the security announcements. We'll get the feast days, do the prayer, and then the salute.
Oh, man, you got the security announcements, or you want me to get them out of one?
If you can, I think Zakaria got it.
Come.
You got it, Zakaria?
Come.
All right, go ahead.
ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need information, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak for the brother or sister. There was another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Todd was the commandment found in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi 3 verses 8 through 10. Means 10 people, Mayarshua, 10% of every 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give the church or teacher. Upcoming holy convocations.
Upcoming holy convocations that we have coming up next is the memorial of blowing of trumpets, which is September the 15th, 2023, which is on a Friday, the first day of the 7th month, which can be found in the book of Leviticus chapter 23, verses 24 through 25.
If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pant, headband, scarf. These are the ISUPK security announcements.
All right, we're going to Maja. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer real quick. Turn to face the east. Lead, is the east this way? See real quick for me. It's the east. I'll make sure I'm facing the right way. Cool, someone's this way. Compass. I'm trying to figure out where the east is real quick. I want to pray the right way. All right. East is this way. All right. Abanawa. Shabashimaya. Kodai. Ayah. Mukai. Yahweh. Bogakukai. Sabah. Ratazaka. Ayah. Asha. Baratazai. Kawa. Ayah. Bashimayam. Nathanava Nawa. Lakam. Hall. Yawam. Wasalakinawa. Kabawatinawa. Kasalakinawa. Kasalakinawa. Waga'a. Iowa. Manasana. Ball.
On the ball.
Hawashinawa. Waka. Hamalaka.
Awaka.
Wahala.
Wahala.
La awalanyum. Arman. Father, which art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, that will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. So be it. We're going to turn to Sar, give a courtesy salute to the brothers, and courtesy salute to the sisters. In Israel, Amaju, Amadim Shabbat, Amaju, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah, Yahya Matah. All right, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Amaju, Amajim Shabbat, Amaju, Yahweh Shema Latah Hashem Yahweh Shah. All right, Most High Christ, cause this is.